When you give Archie Davis a prospect, it's like saying amen to a Baptist or sick 'em to a dog.
There are only two kinds of people in the world, says Archie Davis, customers and prospects. Those are Citizens and Southern bank tycoon Mills B. Lane's words, but they roll off Archie's tongue as if they were born there.
What'd you call him? What'd you call Mr. Lane?
Mr. Lane.
Always?
You know, he'd say, call me Mills. Yes, sir, Mr. Lane.
Archie Davis was Mr. Lane's protege, an aw-shucks North Carolina boy who Mr. Lane named the president of C&S Bank in Savannah at the ripe old age of 29.
And it's just natural that here with Savannah on the march, with the spirit that we have, that
He believed in young people. He really did. He believed in giving them a chance. And I was very fortunate to be one of those people he believed in. When I became head of C&S down here, that's from Mills Lane.
Yes, sir.
Congratulating and just saying, you know, don't mess it up, boy.
As maverick as it may sound to have a 29-year-old bank president, Mr. Lane's decision had sound underpinnings. Archie was a Chapel Hill undergrad and an MBA from Harvard, where, under the rigors of America's finest academic institution, he learned to say, well, how about that instead of no sh**.
I knew Archie probably for 4 or 5 years before I was aware that he went to Harvard. And I said, Archie, you got to be kidding me.
In the course of studying various things, I became fascinated with a bank called Citizens and Southern in Atlanta, and a guy named Mills B. Lane. He was a very interesting character. He was the one that really, you know, brought marketing to banking. I remember one of his favorite expressions was, can I sell you some money today? It's a wonderful world. I think one of the luckiest things that ever happened to us was that fateful July morning in 1971 when Mills Lane called me to his office at 7 a.m. said, son, you're going down to be president of the bank in Savannah. Hot dog.
If Chapel Hill and Harvard taught him anything, it was how to listen. Archie had absorbed Mr. Lane, and with the presidency of C&S Savannah, he got the chance to apply what he had learned.
You know, as Mills Lane used to tell us all the times, boys, opportunities and problems are never convenient, so be prepared.
Archie's always referred to me as Big John, and I remember one day I was grousing that about something that was happening and something else that was happening, and he looked at me and said, Big John, opportunities and challenges are seldom convenient.
The other guiding light in Archie's development was his dad, also named Archie, a president of Wachovia and a key figure in the development of North Carolina's world-renowned Research Triangle.
He was really the influence on his life in terms of the way that Archie, his business ethics, I think his sense of humor, all those things I think come from his dad, and I think that was probably the greatest influence on his life.
His father was one of the finest gentlemen probably in the state of North Carolina. I traveled with him one time up to the Outer Banks and was with his father. In every small town we stopped in, people would walk up to see Mr. Davis, Mr. Davis. So Archie had a fabulous upbringing. He was taught to be an honest, forthright, caring person. And I think the thing that's the caring is a very important term on Archie, because he does care about people very much.
Genuineness and the affection of people were gifts of father to son. If there is a Savannah figure as beloved as Archie Davis, it could only be Arthur Genlatt.
He treats people with great respect, no matter what their station is. He's sincere, and I think the fact that he's just a very decent, good person makes all the difference, particularly in business.
Archie likes trains. I tried my best to pull something deep and philosophical out of him about that. I talked to Dr. Gross about the romance of the billowing smoke and the cars clanking through the valleys of the American yesteryear, and how the spirit of that might have seeped into one of Savannah's most energetic minds. But Archie ducked all of those themes, revealing a brief glimpse of his inner self only on the even deeper subject of religion.
We used to go to the Presbyterian church, and Somebody asked me one time, said, what's the difference between Presbyterians and Methodists? I said, a lot. And they looked at me, what? I said, yeah, Presbyterians pray to forgive the debtors, and that's bad for business at the Savannah Bank.
Archie's career path took him back to Atlanta in the 80s.
At one point, head of international for CNS, so he was gone 3 weeks at the time in the Orient and whatever.
But it would prove to be a brief interruption in the Davises' relationship with the hostess city. A gap closed when they returned to be a central part of the creation of the Savannah Bank.
And that was a startup enterprise, if there ever was one, in a very competitive field.
But it's pretty scary. I mean, you open your door, you spend 9 months getting ready, spending a lot of money, and you open your doors and you're not really sure if anybody's going to show up.
Local ownership, local decisions.
But Archie never doubted the mission or the strategy of the Savannah Bank.
Most of ours was word of mouth, shoe leather, getting on the street. Still do that today.
And the whole idea was, this was Savannah's bank. The way Archie built that team and always worked from a team approach, it was a wonderful example of leadership.
And I'd like to emphasize, this whole thing has not been a solo deal. It's been a team effort between the management and the board.
I don't know if people know Savannah Bank or Archie Davis the most, but between the two of them, we're all over Savannah.
It worked. From $450,000 in debt in 1989, the Savannah Bank has grown into a $1 billion institution.
With Archie, his very personal way of leading, of building his team, of providing support, of providing enthusiasm, really just still just bounces off the walls.
Being up to his eyes in creating a bank from scratch didn't dissuade Archie from tackling community work at the same time.
I was asked to secure a chairman for the Savannah Olympic Committee. And of course I thought of Archie. A lot of people would say, that's a lot of time involved. Let me think about it and I'll call you back. Archie didn't do that. Archie said right away, yeah, I'll do it. Says it'll be good for the city and I'd enjoy doing it.
Jennifer Abshire hired on as Archie's right hand on the Savannah Olympic Support Council.
We weren't ready. As a community, it was the first time we really took a big challenge to showcase our area. Now we've grown from that, and I believe that the Olympics had a huge part of that.
Close to 5,000 people, if you add up all the volunteers and everybody else in this community that worked on a common thing for a number of years, and I think that there are a lot of things that spawned after that by people who got to know each other during this great experience.
Archie navigated even more turbulent waters when community leadership came to grips in the mid-90s with the fact that Savannah couldn't support 3 separate hospitals. He was a key figure in the merger of St. Joe Candler.
And said, we would like to talk to you about combining the hospitals. And he said, that's fine, only on one condition. He said, Paul Henchy has to be the CEO. We'd already talked about that. And said he's our choice too.
All right. When we were doing our interview with Archie, he called us back and said he had to do another interview because he hadn't given credit where it was appropriately due, and he wanted to make sure the record was straight. Craig said, yes, sir, I can come back tomorrow. He said, don't call me, sir. Even the dog calls me Archie.
He's going to shoot very straight with you. You'll know where you are and know where he is. But there's one thing that you can always count on, and that's he's never going to ask you to do something that he wouldn't do himself.
That sense of humor, that sense of having a high ethical standard, and then again that irrepressible optimism.
It's probably a little trauma for anybody to open up their personal lives to a banker. And he had the talent that people trusted him. It was a trust issue.
Archie's a very honest, very charitable person.
I don't know where he gets, how he can stay so enthusiastic about so many things, but Archie does.
He's true. He's real. He's real people. He gets it. He knows how to connect.
A simple guy, a down-to-earth guy that loved this community, his family, and his friends. That's it.
Archie Davis is a laureate in the Savannah Business Hall of Fame.